Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Club Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic Tuesday, wherever we are around the world. I was almost going to say Friday then, but we are on Tuesday. And yes, welcome back to yet another Liverpool news episode for you guys this evening. Of course, we're going to discuss a fair old bit in terms of course, transfer news and other bits and pieces. Of course, including FSG potentially buying a new football team, which we will discuss, of course, for the multi-club model. And of course, we'll discuss a few more things with you guys down in the comment section down below, of course. But again, let me know all of you are down below. Let me know if you're having a good day or not. And very intrigued to know your guys' thoughts on everything we do discuss in tonight's episode anyway. But hi, Con, as well from Doug. Good evening, Doug. Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good birthday. It was all right. It was a fair decent one. Villa for Elliott would be a great move for him. Of course, we will discuss Harvey Elliott in due course as well. Big up Mikel Arteta saying hello wherever you are around the world. Hope you. Yeah, thank you, Luke. You fucking asshole. Florian Friday and Kirkers Friday as well. Yeah, no, it does look like it will be probably both. Well, I say Kirkers Friday. We might potentially have them a bit earlier. Again, we will discuss Milos Kirkers in due course, but again, there's different other stories to talk about and discuss, because it's not only him. Like as you guys can see on screen, we're going to discuss Harvey Elliott in tonight's episode. Supposedly, Aston Villa are interested and are supposedly leading the race for Harvey Elliott, which again would be a decent move for him. Of course, like I said, we're going to talk about Hugo Ekitike a bit more as well. Obviously, more concrete option for Liverpool this summer. We will discuss more on Alexander Isak as well, because again, that list I say list, of course, the list of strikers that are available on the market. Again, the best one is Alexander Isak this summer. Of course, we'll talk about Milos Kirkes, Darwin Nunez, and Liverpool buying a new football club. Yes, John Henry has definitely got his wallet out so far this summer, and it looks like he could potentially be spending a lot more money. But big up Luke anyway, so have a good show, lad, as well. Yeah, just absolute bastard. Joking anyway. But no, look, we are going to discuss to begin with Liverpool potentially buying Getafe. Now, according to Paul Joyce from the Athletic, from the Times, coming out with this article piece earlier on this evening, claiming that Liverpool's owner consider Getafe as first purchase in multi-club model. Of course, it is from Paul Joyce, as you can see his name right there. But it does go on to say the Fenway Sports Group are looking to expand the football operations beyond Merseyside and could view La Liga club as a feeder or long-term development project. Fenway Sports Group, the owner of Liverpool, have turned its attention to the Liga side Getafe as it looks to develop a multi-club model. There has been interest previously in Bordeaux and Malaga, but the Madrid-based Getafe, who finished 13th in the Spanish top flight last season, have now come under consideration. The Getafe owner Angel Torres has previously said that he intends to leave the club once this Stadio Coliseum ground has been modernized, and a project that is due to be completed in December 2027, as it does, as you guys can see by there, which, to be fair, does look pretty decent when you actually look at it as well. But it does go on also to say a spokesman from FSG said that FSG currently urges in conversations and opportunities across global sports and a common progression to access ventures that align with the organization's strategy priorities. Getafe have appeared in the Europa League twice in 2010, 11 and 2019-20 seasons, but have never played in the Champions League. They have been in La Liga for the past 8 seasons and could help with the development of players as a feeder club for Liverpool, although FSG may see Getafe as ripe for development in their own right. Their league rivals, Girona, are part of the City Football Group, whom, of course, are under the umbrella of Manchester City. And it does also go on to say, as you guys can see below, the prospect of purchasing a second club was one of the reasons why FSG were able to entice the former Liverpool sporting director Michael Edwards back to the ownership group 15 months ago. Edwards left Liverpool in the summer of 2022, but he returned in an overachieving role as FSG's chief executive of football, as it does go on to say as well that he has been working with FSG's technical director, Julian Wald, and the director of football development, Pedro Marquez, on adding to the US ownership sporting portfolio. This year, the trio visited Malaga, who are in La Liga 2, although interest did not progress, of course, because I think Newcastle's ownerships got involved in that as well. But it does, of course, end the article piece saying that FSG have looked at the French side Bordeaux, but withdrew interest in July 2024. The club later went into bankruptcy and now obviously the Champion National 2, the fourth tier of the French pyramid. So Getafe then, Reds, look, I'm not going to sit here and go, look, I watch every single game week in, week out, again, don't watch any games necessarily. But again, Getafe, again, in La Liga, have a good standing, place in La Liga. Again, like I said, but they've been in Europe twice over the past decade, or again, a bit further on from a decade, but still, again, Getafe are a known well team, and again, Liverpool have also had other ventures in trying to develop that second team where, like it said in the article piece there, it's either going to be a feeder club or it's going to be a second club in FSG's portfolio where, again, they build them up to a certain standing point and then, they could end up getting Champions League football or, even one bit better really and go on to win the La Liga themselves. And it's an interesting one. Again, I wonder how much it would be for or whether or not it's going to be a majority sale. You would probably think it's going to be a majority sale just because of, once again, you look at how it said in the article piece that, again, their owner wants to leave just in time for, of course, their renovation to get done by 2027. So I wonder whether or not this is going to be done quick. Of course, FSG don't really spill this type of news unless they are serious. Like, look, we know the last time this type of news did break in terms of Bordeaux, they were very, very strong in that. But again, when they looked at the books, when they were allowed to venture into that conversation, it was a very, very dark hole. And again, FSG walked away from it. And again, how will that affect Liverpool long term? Every single top team now at the minute, or every single big club is having second teams or having, the same ownership group, really. You look at Manchester City and how they have developed, their scouting network all throughout the world in terms of, not only have you got Girona, you've got teams in America, you have teams in Australia as well, for example. So again, their whole portfolio is expanding around the world to get the best talent, towards Manchester City, which for Liverpool, that would kind of be the same. And again, is there a right moral to have? Again, I think people will argue and differ in that aspect of things. For me, I can understand it, but I also think, again, as soon as something goes wrong in terms of Liverpool, and look, Liverpool don't spend enough or don't do this, the first question Liverpool supporters are going to have is exactly that, in terms of, what's going on in terms of the second team and so on. But long term, it will benefit Liverpool because, again, Liverpool will get the best talent. Liverpool will, again, have that development now. If you look at Girona, for example, you look at, just one player out of the gate straight away. I think you look at Gutierrez from, obviously, the left back position. He is a prospect that a lot of teams do like. And again, that's what Liverpool are probably looking at this and going, well, if we could have, breakthrough talent come through at Girona, not Toronto, sorry, Getafe, then look, we could end up then using that for Liverpool. Of course, the downside of that as well as you look at Chelsea Football Club, who have sent all of their young talent to Strasbourg, and that's what Liverpool, in truth, will be looking at doing. But will we be looking at doing what Chelsea has done over the last 2-3 years? No, I don't think that's going to be the case whatsoever. It's more about again developing both Getafe and Liverpool further. But I think, of course, Liverpool have, for example, now Liverpool bought Getafe. Somebody like a Stefan Bajcetic, for example, could go out on loan to a Getafe then, and obviously develop even more. But it'd be under Liverpool, FSG's, guidance then and say so then really. But look, yeah, it'll be an interesting one, and I wonder whether or not we are going to go for, or I say we, I mean FSG are going to go for it, at least anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts down below as well. But big up QT. Saying what's up, guys. Heat is hitting different. Is it boiling where you are? Again, it's very cool in my room right now. Probably helping by the fan as well anyway, but hopefully you're doing well, mate, anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts on FSG and Getafe as well. But we will move on. We're going to talk then about Darwin Nunez and Napoli. Now, Fabrizio Romano last night on his Twitter, or X, wherever you want to call it, of course, did spill the beans really on Darwin Nunez's potential move to Napoli, as you guys can see on screen right there. As it does say, but discussions between Napoli and Darwin Nunez continue as high on the shortlist. Talks ongoing with the players' camp scheduled also this week. Nunez has also proposals from Saudi Pro League and more European clubs. I'd be very intrigued to know who the European clubs are in this race for Darwin Nunez. But according to another Italian report, I think it's obviously a Napoli paper. Again, I could be wrong with that, so I do apologize if I am. But it does go on to say that Darwin Nunez has accepted and said yes to the Napoli move, as he'd prefer a move to Europe over a move to the Saudi Pro League. Now, with that being said, do I think Darwin Nunez would prefer a move to Europe? Yes, I think that's understandable more than anything, because you look at it as a team, for example, like Al Hilal, who were very desperate to sign a striker a couple of days ago. It was about a week and a half ago, where they spoke about needing a striker, of course, for the Club World Cup. Again, Victor Osimhen was the name that they were hoping to get, of course, but as of things right now, they haven't signed anyone. They haven't signed a striker in particular. And again, I think everybody's first thought process was that Darwin Nunez was going to be leaving Liverpool to go to Al Hilal after, of course, Victor Osimhen rejected them. But it does look like that he will be staying with Liverpool for now and moving to Napoli, which again it would be a great move for him. I think when you look at the team that they are building there, of course, there'll be question marks of, is he going to play alongside Romelu Lukaku? Is he going to be the replacement for Lukaku long term for Napoli? Of course, again, look, they have money to spend. Look, winning the Serie A and, of course, selling Kvaratskhelia for 90 million. Was it 80, 90 million euros in January? So that, again, they have plenty of money to work with. But like we said yesterday, in yesterday's show, it does look like it's going to be around £40 million for Darwin. Of course, Saudi Pro League move, I think you're easily looking at 60, 70 million pounds for him. But it does, in particular, look like that Liverpool will definitely sell for, I think the maximum is £40 million for Darwin. Just off gut feeling, really, because I think you look at the market, again, you look at the situation with Darwin, he's got, 2 years left on his contract as well. So Liverpool, I think, would be looking at it and going, yeah, they want to get as quick his money back for him, really. And I think Napoli would be a good move for him. Kevin De Bruyne as well, also going to Napoli. They've also got Scott McTominay And again, they've got the manager there in Antonio Conte, who, again, you've seen how good he's done in terms of developing players. Yes, I know, of course, it didn't work at Spurs, but certainly in Italy, something with Antonio Conte, it just works, doesn't it? Out of anything. Again, he's done it with Inter, he's done it with Juventus, now he's done it with Napoli. Antonio Conte in the Serie A is a serial winner. And of course, he has done it in the Premier League, but still in the Serie A, there's just something different when it comes to Antonio Conte and the Serie A anyway. But let me know your guys' thoughts on Darwin Nunez, and your guys' thoughts on his potential move to Napoli as well, which I think, like I said, again, it'll be a very, very good move for him. Absolutely. But the heat here in Ireland is not normal for me, mates, as well. Well, again, it's unfortunately the summer. I think you might be in agreement with me. Bring back winter. Winter months better than summer months. Anyway, but we will move on and talk about Milos Kerkez then. Of course, last night, causing a lot of fuss on social media. Of course, a lot of Bournemouth fans upset, and rightfully so. I think with the interview that he did do. But in terms of Liverpool and what it does mean for us, now Ben Jacobs exclusively revealed about an hour and a half ago, I think it was, maybe even a bit longer now than that, but he has exclusively revealed that Liverpool is set to finalise a deal for Milos Kerkez next week. Understand the fee is £40 million. Formalization to follow with only small details outstanding. So I'm guessing that is, like we mentioned yesterday in the news, of course, in terms of little details in terms of add-ons. So you probably would expect £40 million, and then the rest in add-ons. Like we talked about the £45 million price tag that was getting spoken about yesterday in terms of Fabrizio Romano. Once again, talking about that type of deal. I think it's pretty much a done deal, and like I think everybody expects it now to be announced, of course. And as well, me saying that, not only that, you've also got Milos Kerkez turning around and confirming it himself, haven't he? When you listened to him last night speaking on was it a Hungarian podcast? I think it was, or whatever it was from. Him basically coming out and confirming the Liverpool news, confirming, again, him and his dad on there saying that it's only Liverpool, for us. We're not going anywhere else. We won't talk to any other club. Everything is done between us, personal terms wise. We just need to sort out some details, but it's basically a done deal. And of course, a lot of Bournemouth fans rightfully have been upset by it because, look, he's coming out and openly talking about a move that hasn't happened yet in theory. And look, if it was the other way around, like if Trent, for example, came out and well, I say Trent, we were all fuming about Trent, but for example, now like Andy Robertson come out on a podcast and spoke about his potential move to Atletico Madrid and was like, yep, done deal. We're moving on. Personal terms is agreed. We're just waiting to do a couple of details. I think a lot of Liverpool supporters would be fuming by that, and rightfully so. Look, it's still a player of the football club. Everybody, again, knows that Milos Kerkez is going to join Liverpool, but again, it's about being respectful to your current club, and I think Bournemouth have every right to be fuming in this type of situation because, again, one of their players is currently openly talking about his move to Liverpool and it's not even happened yet. So yeah, it's one of these ones, wasn't it? Or isn't it? Sorry, I should say, where normally, people would look at it and go, oh, you kind of get it when players talk about a potential move, but for him to blatantly come out and go, yep, no, the move's done, I'm just waiting now to sort a few things out, it's a bit mental, because that seems to be the running thing with Liverpool targets at the minute. You had Florian Wirtz come out, basically confirm he was joining Liverpool. You had Milos Kerkez now, Jeremy Frimpong as well, I think also did something. where he said something. So again, Liverpool's targets this summer are coming out and saying, "Look, we want the move, and we only want Liverpool." So look, that's a great thing on our end, but still, I think it's a bit too disrespectful when we're talking or people are talking so openly about him, moving away from Bournemouth as well. Because again, look, they have replaced him, but officially he is still a Bournemouth player, which I think a lot of people will be fuming about. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Anyway, but speaking about players Liverpool want, Alexander Isak, the dream target for Liverpool Football Club. Now, Alex Crook from, again, is he from Talksport? Or at least anyway, we know of him, at least anyway. Has come out and said this. Of course, it is taken from the fellas over at Anfield Sector, saying that Liverpool are still in the market for another forward. Alexander Isak would be their dream target. Are they going to pay massive money for him? Newcastle are quoting £150 million for their asking price. Possibly, but don't rule it out. Or is it possible? Don't rule it out. So what does this mean then? And of course, every single person's been talking about Alexander Isak today, because that's been the whole conversation around the whole striker market at the moment is Liverpool and Alexander Isak, because there's been rumours, there's been conversations going around discussing, is this possible? Is it possible for Liverpool to do a type of deal? Obviously, we've signed, or we're about to sign, Florian Wirtz for a British record fee if it does reach up to the add-ons, of course. And look, if Liverpool were to do a deal for Alexander Isak, it would completely smash that record again. And look, a Liverpool about to spend 300 million. I say 300 million. What would it be, like 260 million pounds on Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz? That's another question in itself. And look, would I love Alexander Isak at Liverpool? Absolutely, 100%. And that's no questions asked, really. I would absolutely love Alexander Isak to join Liverpool. But is it a real possibility? And I think for me, I just don't think it is. I don't think. I just don't see it. And that might be, again, me going against what everyone thinks, but it would have to take something huge for Newcastle to go, yeah, and what would that something huge be? Would it be Liverpool offering a huge amount of money? Would it be Alexander Isak himself asking to move to Liverpool? I think it is probably that. I think it would be a combination of Liverpool putting a verbal offer on the table and going, look, we will buy, or we will bid, hundreds, 110, 120 million pounds. But also, you would need the commitment from Alexander Isak to go, do you know what? I've got Champions League football in Newcastle. Yes, I know we've won a trophy, but I want to move on and go to Liverpool, where again I'm going to be playing with the best players in the world. Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Florian Wirtz, Alexis McAllister, Alisson Becker. You're going to be playing with the elite players, of course, in the Champions League, but also you're going to be, competing for a Premier League title. Now, are Newcastle going to be doing that next season? I don't think so. But again, we could be surprised, if certain things had happened this season, Newcastle would have finished second in the Premier League. Which, again, if they add to their squad, they could, easily become the second best team in the Premier League, while the others are struggling, like Arsenal and Manchester City. But it's that current thing at the moment, isn't it, of how long a Newcastle going to be willing to, again, not willing, but how long are Newcastle going to be able to ask for the asking price of £100 million plus? Now, if Isak, for example, next season doesn't succeed, if he doesn't go on and score, 20 plus goals like he's done last season, that then I think is a question mark then, really, of, again, could they demand 20 plus, not 20, but £100 million plus? I don't think they can, really. So now I think is the the optimum time that they could sell Alexander Isak. Now, once again, are Liverpool going to bid that money? Again, I'm not so sure. And this is why I think Liverpool might go for Hugo Ekitike. Like we mentioned yesterday, I think he's a more concrete option for Liverpool. Again, you look at what I think was Fabrizio Romano said himself, that Hugo Ekitike is a concrete opportunity, a concrete option, for Liverpool. Now, in my personal opinion, there's two options for Liverpool. Option A is Alexander Isak, and if they can get that deal done, it will be Alexander Isak this summer for Liverpool. And then the other option is clearly Hugo Ekitike. Both profile very similar, in terms of their playing style, in terms of the numbers as well. But again, when we're talking about guarantees and when we're talking about players that are gonna, Liverpool will sign now and will be an instant hit. Of course, it's more likely to happen with with Alexander Isak, than it would with Hugo Ekitike, because again, there's the whole adapting to the league. Again, a willingness then to, again, obviously see how he develops over the next season or two. Again, Liverpool are realistically aiming to win now. The re-signing of Virgil van Dijk, the re-signing of Mo Salah, having a minimum of 2 years left of these players' career. You've also got Alisson in that mix as well. Of course, Florian Wirtz wants to hit the ground running straight away as well. So there's multiple different players to think about. And again, if Liverpool add Alexander Isak to the squad, it's quite easy to see where, look, Liverpool, like for me, Liverpool would win the Premier League. I also think we would go far in the Champions League. I really do. But again, it's that question of, A, does he want to move? B, can Liverpool afford that amount of money after buying Florian Wirtz? And again, it's a combination of all, isn't it? And I think the other option to it is, of course, Hugo Ekitike. And if I was to put money on it right now, I would say Liverpool will sign Hugo Ekitike, just because we can't get the Isak deal done. But with me also saying that, if there is any inkling Liverpool can do a deal for Isak, they will 100% be there, 1000% be there. So for me, that's why I personally think would happen with them too. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. Anyway, but moving on, we're going to finish with the story of Harvey Elliott. Of course, looking like Aston Villa are ahead in the race to sign him. Now, according to, of course, it is paragraphed for, taken from Dave O.C. Cobb, but as it does, hopefully you guys can see on screen right now. Anyway, it does say, as you can see below, Aston Villa are reportedly leading the race to sign Harvey Elliott. Now, it is coming from the Sunday Times, so do take it with a slight pinch of salt. Of course, I say slight, do take it with a huge pinch of salt, really. But what I think this is very interesting, in my opinion, because just listening to a couple of rival fans about Villa and mainly Chelsea and Arsenal, talking about wingers and talking about players that could be on the move. Now, of course, Villa, the constant conversation around them is PSR, and that's it is a conversation that a lot of people are having. Of course, with Emi Martinez rumored to be leaving to go to the Saudi Pro League, other players leaving, and one player that I think could be pivotal for Harvey Elliott to potentially move to Aston Villa is Morgan Rogers. I think Morgan Rogers, a lot of teams will be looking at him this summer and thinking like, oh, we could do with the Morgan Rogers in our team. Now, am I saying that Morgan Rogers is going to leave Villa? No, look, I think Villa will do everything possible to keep him with their team. But my theory, or the thought process around it, is that they may end up selling Morgan Rogers for a huge fee to Chelsea, Arsenal, could even be City still. I know obviously they've signed Ryan Shirky, but again, City could look to bolster in that position specifically. So what I think could end up happening is that Aston Villa come in for Harvey Elliott to play the 10 role for them for them, because again, Harvey, we probably think will want a big move in terms of a Premier League team. Look, I think he wants, first of all, first team football, which again, the teams being linked around him, Villa would be, of course, the best possible team. Again, obviously Villa being linked, Brighton, Dortmund, these types of teams have been discussed. I think, judging by the whole, Bayer Leverkusen conversations around Harvey Elliott, he doesn't want to go to the Bundesliga. He wants to firmly stay in the Premier League. So with me saying that, again, you most likely think it's between Villa, Brighton, and possibly even another team. I think, looking at how Thomas Frank now might use, and develop this Spurs side, I wonder whether or not Spurs might come in for Harvey Elliott. We look at data as a benchmark sometimes, and we know Thomas Frank is a huge believer in data, and again, the way I think Spurs want to go on and do a type of rebuild of their team is using data, and I think Harvey Elliott could be a guy that they could look at. I think James Maddison, I know Spurs fans in particular love James Maddison, but I think you can upgrade on him. And again, is Harvey Elliott an upgrade on him? Again, I'm not necessarily sure that is the case, but again, the potential of Harvey Elliott, you would, most likely say yes. Harvey Elliott does have the potential to, be better than James Maddison. And I think for a lot of people, that and a lot of Spurs fans, I think they would like that type of move. But I think personally, I think Aston Villa would make so much sense for somebody like a Harvey Elliott to go, obviously Champions League, not Champions League football, sorry, but European football, that they will have. Again, can play on the right, can play as the 10, can play as an 8 as well if you needed to, again, adjust system-wise as well. I do think the Villa move would be perfect for him. And I think, again, when we talked about the level that he wants to stay at, I think Villa would be a perfect move for him, in my opinion. But again, the price of Harvey may end up turning people off when we talk about 40-50 million pounds the Liverpool are looking for. Again, there's only going to be a handful of teams in that, and like I said, mentioned Spurs have got Champions League football. Villa, I think, they have Conference League or Europa League. I believe it's Europa League they do have. So again, they will definitely be interested, but whether or not they're gonna go and advance on it is another thing as well. But we'll have to just wait and see for it, at least anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below, anyway, on the video. But yeah, any other bits of news, of course, we'll let you guys know tomorrow. This is going to be the video for tomorrow. We're going to be taking a look at the squad and taking a look at how Liverpool are going to line up next season, and go a little bit in depth on that. So that will be tomorrow, 8 p.m, a bit early than tonight, but yeah, it's going to be live at 8. And yeah, basically, that's it for the news. I'm going to quickly check if there is anything else before we do shoot off for the night, because I don't think there is anything else, unless I have missed it. Anyway, let me double check. Is there anything else? No, there is not. So again, we're going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in, at least. Anyway, and yeah, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your nights. And until next time, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the Cup Council. We'll see you guys in a bit. Ta-ra.